Good evening, Broncos fans, man. It's a fantastic Tuesday night. This is the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. And of course, we're brought to you by Rocky Mountain Sports Network and sponsored by Morgan Trinkets, man. I can't believe it, man. We're talking about 48 hours away, guys. 48 hours away. We're going to have picks maybe already in the books at this point. We'll just see how it all plays out and how the broadcast goes. But talking about this broadcast right now, this amazing broadcast, I am your host, Keith Brugman. I've got Albert Mile High Dutchie. I've got Trevor Rocket Man Salzman. But let's start off with Albert. Say hello, Albert, to Broncos country.
Woo! It's an exciting week. We already have seen some exciting elements coming today and yesterday. And what else are we going to see? We're going to see draft week today and tomorrow and Thursday and Friday. It's all about the draft. And we're going to be there. We're going to be there.
We are going to be there. We are going to be there. We're going to have a special show. And I know that a lot of our friends already probably know about it. We'll talk about it here in a second. But first, we got to talk to our good friend, Trevor Salzman. Man, he's been on a marathon as of lately, not only in the background, getting all the analysis done, but podcast after podcast. Trevor, thanks for flying in here with us this evening and gracing us with your presence for another hour.
No, it's great to be here, Keith, and great to be here with you, Dutchie, and all DBR fans. Can't wait to break everything down and get into it. This is one of my favorite times of the year, so I really don't mind, but I hope I will have a voice by Thursday.
Yeah, it's all about taking care of the voice. I heard this, actually, a little tip. Potato chips are oddly good for a voice, so give potato chips a try. Anyway, and if nothing else, you got a good snack. We got to get to the posse really quick. Got to go say hello to some of our royalty, like Michael Ronquillo coming in and saying, good evening, Keith, Albert, Trevor, Orange and Blue Hearts, clapping it up. Love you, Michael Ronquillo. Always a fantastic supporter. Appreciate you so much. This guy, Mr. Ernie Mays, he is amazing, man. Likes, I think, every single thing we send out, is always a big supporter. Mr. Ernie Mays, we appreciate it so much. Albert, what do you got going on there, man?
It's Fisherman's Friends for the sore throats in every man.
Oh, there you go. For the sponsor that's not a sponsor, Fisherman's Friends. There you go. I got to say hello to Mr. Scoops. Here's hoping the 12th pick leaves you all on a rocky mountain high, rooting for an outcome that makes all three of y'all collectively feel good about y'all's team going into 2024. Scoops, Mr. Ryan Scoops Woodhams, of course. If you don't recognize the name, you should, because you should be tuning in to Settle the Scores. Settle the Scores is our Colorado Rockies podcast right over there on Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Please, guys, give that a like, share, subscribe, and listen as well. A little change up in the schedule. You'll be hearing it on Saturday night, man. And Trevor, you know the time. Trevor, Saturday night at?
It was at 9 Eastern, 7 o'clock Mountain Time.
I think that's right. If not, we're going to have all those details out. Of course, if you're following Rocky Mountain Sports Network, you'll know all those details. So got to say hello to Pearl as well. Hello, Pearl. She says hi, all. And talking about that fantastic draft podcast that we're going to have going on, Pearl's coming saying, looking forward to it Hooray! It kind of sounds. I bet she sounded just like Dutchie right off the top as he came in. Michael Ronquillo's coming in with a little bit of news we'll get to here in a second. And Kenny Kirkpatrick of the amazing K&K Sports Show, part of that fantastic broadcast that you were a part of, Trevor. If you guys didn't check it out, we put it over on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. It was over on the K&K Sports Show Facebook page as well, YouTube, you name it. They're out on all the platforms. But man, talk about a fantastic breakdown by what, three of you guys, right? Three. It was just the three. Yeah, just the three of you guys. So many screens I've been watching lately. I don't know about you, buddy, but so many screens. But what a fantastic breakdown you guys had. What amazing analysis. Can't wait for that to be brought over to the live draft just 48 hours from now. But yeah, we're looking forward. Oh, I was going to get to Kenny's comment. DBR is brought to you by the letters DVR, Dutchie, Brugman, and the Rocket Man Salzman, the absolute best in the business. So I appreciate it very much, Kenny. We think you're the best as well, and especially when you're coming on our show, man. Seems like it's always a better show when there's a Kenny Kirkpatrick in the house. So, got to get through. Roy Osborne going to jump in here and say good evening. Let's have some fun with this show. Absolutely, man. We're going to get through some news that obviously we haven't talked about because it's been a few days. It's been a week for Albert, so there's a lot that we could end up getting caught up on, but a lot that really just broke within the last 48 hours. So much. So Kenny's coming in and saying thank you so much, Trevor, for helping out on the K&K last night.
No problem, Kenny. Thank you for having me. It was honestly a great show. Sorry, guys, I moved my voice a little bit. But
All
no,
right.
I appreciate it, Kenny. Thanks for having me on. It was a fantastic time. And again, it's been my favorite part of the year. So no problem. It's an honor, honestly.
The other half of the K&K Sports Show, Mr. Kurt Valente coming in. Well, I wish I could do his voice, but he's saying, boys, let's go. Knicks up 2-0. Broncos are going QB hunting this Thursday. Let's go. Might be Thursday. Might be Friday. Might be Saturday. I think they're leaving with a quarterback one way or another. I don't think we've completed our room, especially with the amount of picks that we do have in this draft. And who knows? Maybe we end up with some more. So Mr. Graham coming in here, giving us a wave. Hello, Graham. Appreciate you jumping in here. Always good to see you. Trevor and Scoops with the mock draft last night was awesome, he's saying. I'm telling you, man. And I didn't think that Kenny did that bad either. But that's okay, Graham. You can give all the kudos to Trevor and Scoops. I like it, man. I tell you what, it was fantastic. Big hearts for you as well. As Albert will say, I'm supposed to not say big sis anymore. I don't know if it's the wrong terminology, but sis coming in here and saying, hey guys, draft day, can't wait. Yeah, fantastic show planned for that. I'm going to lose my voice just getting through all these comments. Yeah, 48 hours away. Yeah, thanks to you as well, Kenny. So lots of comments coming in. I wish I could get to every single one of them. Yep. I see it, Albert. But first off, guys, if you don't know, the Pick is In Draft Show, I got to talk about it right off the top before we get into our news. Pick is In Draft Show is the name of our draft show. Big collaboration between Rocky Mountain Sports Network, the K&K Sports Show. It's going to have, well, all the people you have on the screen. We're going to add in a little Scoops. We're going to add in a little Kenny Kirkpatrick. It's going to be a fantastic show. We're going to have special guests left and right. I think the most amazing part, guys, is the amount of giveaways we're going to be throwing out to all throughout the entire show. I think you'll enjoy that a ton. It'll give a little extra something to your draft day coverage. We're all going to be watching it. We're all going to have our favorite podcast going, but why not add some giveaways in as well? We got you there. Like I said, fantastic analysis. We're going to be breaking down pick by pick by pick. We're going to be there for every single minute of the draft, and we're going to be rooting on your Broncos and hoping for the best, just like you. So tune in, be a part of the show. It's going to be fantastic. So guys, Albert's giving me a finger, not that finger, but a finger. Albert, what do you got, buddy?
And we are having even people from Australia coming in. Aussie Wombat. And that's first time.
Wombat, yeah.
It's first time I ever see this guy, and welcome to the show.
I didn't know he was from Perth, Australia. I think that's the first time he's mentioned that. But yeah, Aussie Wombat coming in. Appreciate you, bud. He says hi to RMSN and fellow Broncos fans all the way from over here in Perth, Western Australia. Aussie, let me know what time it is, man. I'd always like to, I never know the conversions, but I always like to know what it's like, man. I tell you what, Broncos country, it spreads around the globe, guys. Around the globe, man. Used to love NFL Europe and used to see even more of that. But that being said, let's jump into some of this news, man. We got to get to probably the biggest news, or at least the most striking, hit you in the face news that we've got in the last 48 hours. Let's talk about a little addition to the quarterback room. We've been talking about it for a while. We said, do we go into the draft looking like this? Stidham, Ben DiNucci, is that all we're going in with? A lot of people had us peg for a Ryan Tannehill. Seems like that would probably be waning at this point because just in the last 24 hours, guys, what do? We went out and we got Zach Wilson in a trade with the New York Jets. We pick up their 7th round pick. If I remember right, the 203rd overall. I'm sorry, the 256th overall, right? Do I got this all backwards?
Their 6th round pick. Broncos are trading their 6th to the Jets, and then Broncos are receiving the Jets 7th.
Correct. So we get their 7th, which is a 256, and Zach Wilson. They get our 203rd pick. That's the. I'm sorry if I stumbled over myself. Zach Wilson becomes a Denver Bronco. Trevor, what were your thoughts, and what do you think about a Zach Wilson signing? And then I'm going to head up to Dutchy as well on this one.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna really affect the Broncos on draft night for what their plans are. I do wonder if they have already checked in, and I'm sure they already have, into trading up, and maybe this is kind of their safety blanket if they don't get a quarterback high in the draft. But I think Zach Wilson, I mean, again, it's cheap what they got him for. They got him for basically nothing. The Broncos already have another 6th round pick in this draft. They also have 3 5th round picks, so giving up a 6 is nothing for Zach Wilson, and they get another 7th back. So it's just like, I mean, you basically got him for free. Jets are paying half his salary.
Yep.
A former 1st round pick 2 years ago in Zach Wilson. I mean, there's upside to him. Obviously, it's what Sean Payton sees in him. So I don't think they're counting on Zach Wilson to be their starter, but I think he'll be more competition for Stidham for sure. We shall see if who ends up becoming the starter, or if it ends up being a rookie that starts. We're not sure, but we know for sure more competition the better for Stidham, the guy that just didn't look like he was the starter last year. I like this deal for the Broncos and for Zach Wilson. He also is from Utah, so he's kind of coming back home, closer to home. So it's really nice to see that from Zach Wilson. Again, I think this kid has a ton of upside, and we shall see how he does. And I don't think there's a ton of pressure on him, coming from the Broncos, and hopefully Sean Payton will be able to help him out, get the best out of him moving forward.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting experiment as we brought him in. Like you said, we brought him in for cheap. It's not going to cost us. It hasn't cost us a whole lot, and it's just opportunity. Before I get to Albert, I just want to get over to Pearl, who's saying, "Welcome, Aussie Wombat, to the posse," because that's what we name our live chat, and we check in all the time. And Aussie is saying, "Hey, it's 9:22 a.m. here, so." Hey, we didn't make you wake up too early. That's nice. But it's windy and cold as the seasons are changing. And I kind of feel you, Aussie. I think I'm in the opposite parallel, maybe, because it's kind of windy and cold here as the seasons are changing. So let me check in. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything in the posse. Adam is coming in saying happy Tuesday, and happy Tuesday to you, Adam. Always good to have you chime in and be part of it. I want to ask this in a different question. Answer this. Feel free to talk more about Zach Wilson as well, Albert, and then maybe I'll throw the same question back to Trevor. But the first question I want to ask is, if there is no addition to the quarterback room, as it sits right now, Zach Wilson, Jarrett Stidham, Ben DiNucci, who do you expect to be running out there and taking snaps with the number ones come training camp?
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. There you go.
Zach Wilson.
Talk about Zach Wilson, buddy.
Okay, yeah. So I hope he will take number 3, because number 2 is taken, number 4 is taken. So 3 is still open. So then none of us has to pay for new jerseys. That's good, except we go from dangerous to aggravating. So we will see how it works. But I think he was not drafted for nothing that high. So there must be potential in him, and I think he didn't get. I think he got the raw end of the deal with the Jets, and I believe that Zach Wilson can be a really, really good quarterback here. They compare him with Bo Nix. So why would you go after Bo Nix? You already have one. So some people say, yeah, now you're dealing with a pillow that already has been laid on, or however you want to call it, a used car or something like that. But guess what? With the right tuner, that car can become very good. And you saw what happened with Drew Brees. He was only one or 2 years with his previous team, and I believe he got injured and then taken by the Saints. Guess what? We see the same thing happening with Zach Wilson. So Sean Payton might pull a miracle out of nowhere. So I believe that Zach Wilson can do it for us. It also looks like we don't need to draft a quarterback now because we have one right now. And I know Trevor is not happy with it, but it is at least better than drawing J.J. McCarthy, right?
Oh, shots fired early in the podcast, man. Can't wait until we get to the pick is in draft show, man. If we're going to be that way, man, adding 2 more guys in here, it's going to be very, very interesting. Kenny's chiming in and says, don't be surprised if he plays well enough that he can at least be the backup quarterback. He's coming home and away from the Jets' nightmare of an organization. Roy's coming in and saying, Zach Wilson, blah, even though it's low risk, high reward. So obviously not impressed. I'm going to throw it back to you, Trevor. What are your thoughts? Again, who takes the snaps with the ones? And then I'll give you my thoughts real quick. We can move on to a couple of these subjects here, bud.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Zach Wilson is their safety blanket. I don't think they're expecting him to come in and start right away. I think they know that he's a little bit of a project and what he was with the Jets. Zach Wilson, to me, see, there's been a Bo Nix comparison. I don't think that's the case at all. Zach Wilson, as far as layup wise, as far as underneath stuff, he hasn't been very successful. He's more of a deep threat kind of quarterback so far in his short NFL career. So Bo Nix is that guy underneath. I still think Bo Nix is a fit if they move back to get Bo Nix. Again, I don't want Bo Nix at 12, but moving back for Bo Nix, back in the first round or second round would be, I think he's still definitely on the table. And maybe even so more right now because of where they got with Zach Wilson. Maybe they don't want to trade up. The price is probably too much. So that's why you see get safety bucket Zach Wilson. Why wouldn't you not take a Bo Nix, get more talent in the quarterback room? But for Zach Wilson, I mean, sure, he could possibly take the reins from Jarrett Stidham. I do think that this means Jarrett Stidham is on the hot seat a little bit because, again, Keith, if you remember previous podcasts, we talked about Jarrett Stidham, that his dead cap money is only $2 million, and they're paying him $5 million this year, so they can cut him and save a ton of money, and it is not going to hurt
$2 million.
So,
yep.
Yeah, so it's not going to hurt him. So I think Jarrett Stidham is a little bit on the hot seat with this one with Zach Wilson. I don't know if that's going to be a starter per se, but at the very least, it's for a backup quarterback job. If the Broncos do go out and get somebody else, maybe they still do go get a Ryan Tannehill, or maybe they go in the draft and draft a rookie quarterback and he's their starter. So at the very least, this should say how much Sean Payton thinks of Jarrett Stidham. And if you remember recently, Sean Payton hasn't really gone on his way to praise Jarrett Stidham as he did when he first signed him, and that's something to note right now. And I think the Zach Wilson move may be more of a, hey, Jarrett Stidham, we need to see more. We haven't seen enough.
Yeah. We like 7 to 8 guys in this draft as far as the quarterback is concerned. What does that say about your analysis on a Jarrett Stidham? Hey, it's good. I think it's going to be good competition. I think it's going to be healthy competition. I think that all of a sudden, if we do end up getting a quarterback who is the perceived number one in the room, right now what we have for a competition in the backup role will be amazing. I heard a GM talking just about a week ago, and he said, you always take a chance on a former number one. He goes, I don't care if it was a former number one who was thrown to the scrap heap early. I don't care if it's a former number one that is a little bit later in his career. He's like, these were guys that teams thought very, very highly of. And so if you think that you have the ability to maybe reclaim what that was, yeah, for on the cheap, always take a chance on former number one. We're talking the number 2 pick in the draft just 2 years ago. And all of a sudden he's to us for really what equates to less than a 7th round pick as we end up swapping that 6th and the 7th. It's a fantastic value. They're picking up half the contract. And I think it'll be, like I said, if nothing else, great competition at a very, very, very low price. So, I mean, can't be mad about this. Victor's coming in. Appreciate Victor coming in. He's been coming in hard and heavy and being part of the posse as of lately. So, says Broncos quarterback room. And we're looking at Zach Wilson, Jarrett Stidham, and he's liking Michael Pratt out of Tulane. So talking about getting that maybe that later round value adding to this room, but not spending a whole lot. Michael Pratt would definitely fit that bill, allow you to still build as Trevor would like to do through this draft with some of those picks that we have near the top, maybe not chase that quarterback. Michael Pratt is as I'm going through all my quarterback evaluations, is an interesting quarterback to try to evaluate and try to project into the NFL. I don't mind taking a late flyer on one Michael Pratt. Just getting to a few more comments, guys, and then we'll shift gears a little bit because we're going to have to. I want to get to this one, though. If a rookie QB were to, and this is from Graham, I'm sorry, coming in over on YouTube, says if a rookie QB were to start sometime this season, how many games do you think he should sit? Albert, I'll let you hit that one first. Rookie QB starts this year. How many games does he need to sit?
It definitely depends on the rookie. If you have a Caden Williams, you don't sit him at all. If you have a JJ McCarthy, you might sit him 5, 6, 7 games. If you have Bo Nix, yeah, maybe 12 games. It just depends on the QB you get. But I think we are settled with QBs. I think we are not going to draft one.
There you go. He thinks we're out of the draft altogether, but so we're not going to see that rookie QB. The closest thing that we might see, I guess, is Zach Allen. What do you think? How, Trevor? I'll throw that over to you really quick. Feel the same?
Yeah, I mean, JJ McCarthy might be all year. Drake May might be all year, and I think a Bo Nix will be sooner rather than later, just because of his age. And I think think again he can do a lot of what Sean Payton would ask of him underneath stuff. Again, doesn't have the biggest arm, but I mean, as far as getting the ball out quickly, processing, throwing over the middle, Bo Nix can do that. McCarthy a little bit behind on that, and his footwork needs work, in my opinion. And then Drake May, another guy that's been talked about just and throughout the league as far as a quarterback that may sit a year, whether he goes New England or Minnesota. Same thing with JJ McCarthy. Whatever team he goes to, you might need to sit.
Yeah, I think honestly, if the Broncos take a quarterback in round 1 or round 2, they certainly have the opportunity to press the quarterbacks that are currently in this room to possibly be a starter. And if Sean Payton gives them the wink and the nod to go ahead and go out there game 1, that's certainly a possibility in my mind. I don't think there's anything that says, hey, you had to sit 2 games, you had to sit 4 games. We're only give you a couple games at the end. We're not in that place. We're not in that position to think that way. We need to be able to put the best product on the field. And that very well could be a rookie quarterback. But I think especially if you get out of, first half of the second round, the possibility diminishes quite a bit as far as when that rookie or as far as that rookie quarterback taking the field week 1. So I'm falling way behind on comments, guys, because the posse is absolutely blowing it up. I apologize. I'm going to have to skip ahead and miss a few of you guys, but we appreciate you a ton. Jay Anderson, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon to you. Michelle Knoppers coming in late. Well, I'm late with all these comments, so who knows how long ago this comment came in, but thank you so much, Michelle. Jody Moncre said, comes in and says Wilson over Stidham, so that's where he comes in as well, kind of like Albert was speaking. So Graham's coming in just saying Zach Wilson isn't a reason the Broncos don't draft a quarterback, and I'm 100% on board with that. Aloha, gents, or Bo, in my opinion. Oh, aloha, gents, JJ or Bo. And he wants to know, he goes, I don't know what, in my opinion, it necessarily comes in. Maybe Bo is who he wants to go with in his opinion. Maybe that's where we're tagging it in. Patrick, let me know if I'm wrong on that. But aloha to you, and a little shout out to Lion Coffee. I appreciate you, Patrick. Always kind of like the silent sponsor of the Denver Bronco Roundup. Lion Coffee keeps me powered, and now unpowered with a little bit of decaf as well. So, Patrick, thank you so much. JJ or Bo, that's certainly, I think, falls in line with some of our thoughts and some of our processes that we've went through. But like I said, I need to skip through all of this. I apologize, guys. I know I'm missing a ton of comments. So we're gonna I got skipped all down to the bottom as we kind of skip into the next subject as well, guys. But kind of a big news, a guy that's been on the block, or at least talked about on the block, or possibly on the block, or maybe involved in a trade, or is he staying in Denver? But just as of today, Patrick Surtain II and the Denver Broncos, well, the Denver Broncos exercised his 5th-year option. He's going to be paid $19 million plus in 2025. But now that we have him locked down and maybe be able to negotiate a long-term contract or maybe something else. Albert, how do you feel about PS2 being locked down as a Denver Bronco through his 5th-year option, 2025?
This could be a double-edged sword. Either it is indeed a lockdown for a longer contract, or it is to to turn up his price, because now you have locked him in with the 5th-year option, and now you automatically demanding more money for him, or more price. And I think it can go either way. And I think that's how they see it right now.
Not feeling like it necessarily puts us in that PS2 Denver Bronco forever type of situation. Mile High Dutchie still has a little bit of apprehension, as we've still locked him down, and we did get that 50-year option exercised on Patrick Surtain. Trevor, what are your thoughts there, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, two thoughts. I think that this shows that, and I think this is an easy decision, by the way. I'm not surprised. George Payton said this early on in the offseason, that they're going to pick the 5th-year option up on Pat Surtain. First of all, it locks him in for this year, plus it gives them more time to negotiate for another contract extension. I think that will happen probably after the draft. Probably already has been negotiations happening, but I think George Payton, Sean Payton, the front office are probably tuned into the draft and what's going on with that before anything. So I would expect that, probably talks with that, to probably start heating up after the draft, just in my opinion. But also, I don't think they're moving PS2, and I've said this for the longest time, I wouldn't move PS2 anyways. But if you look throughout the jersey presentation, PS2 is front and center to that. Is that a guy that you think that they're going to move? If they're putting him right in front of everybody and showing off the new jerseys,
yep,
you're going to move a guy like that? To me, I don't think they're moving him at all, and I think that just kind of just seals the deal on that. In my opinion, I think PSG is going to be a Denver Bronco for a long time, and I think they will get an extension done, and rightfully so. He's one of their building blocks. I don't think that you move off of him right now. You have to. I think cornerback's a premium position in this league, and he's young, 23 years old. So I think PSG will stick around and be a Bronco, hopefully for life, but for a long time, anyways.
Yeah, in my opinion, this gets him through about trade deadline of this year. Because unless we lock him down to a long contract, and maybe even if we do end up getting a longer term contract worked out with him, I think we still need to look at the opportunity if the Denver Broncos are sitting in a really bad position as far as their record, and people come knocking for a PS2, we could still be in line for a trade opportunity. But I think it at least pushes us out till then. Like you said, I don't think we do anything during the draft at this point. I hope the social media side of the Denver Broncos, as well as the front office, are kind of in line. We did see the Jaguars kind of slip up early in the offseason, wishing a happy birthday to one of their players and cutting him within 2 hours. So that was a little bit of a faux pas. But that being said, PS2 was a big part of that Broncos jersey release campaign, and he's the face of the franchise in a lot of different ways. So I think he's here for a while. I hope he's here for a very long time, but I wouldn't count out that opportunity. I'm going to skip back just a little bit. Victor always has fantastic analysis, and I was reading this off to the side. He's talking about Zach Wilson. He says he has potential. He's a phenom at BYU, mobile with arm strength to gunsling. With the right play scheme, he can be solid. Jets never set up the offense for him. It was going to fail. And the last season, he was set up for Rodgers. Now he did get some mentoring and some guidance from Rodgers, so he can apply that here and get a fresh start opportunity. The only thing, this is and I agree, man. I was just skipping back. I was a big Zach Wilson fan. I'll just say that right off the bat. Really liked what his tool set as he came into the NFL, and I was hoping that he would progress and even get better with it, right? But he was broken down quite a bit in New York, and New York media is pretty tough. And my only concern is that I don't know if Sean Payton is the place to go and rebuild your ego and get a good pat on the back and make you feel good about yourself. He comes from the Bill Parcells tree. That's a get in your face and get the most out of you, typically that way. And so it's got to be no relief, I don't think, for Zach Wilson in that regard. Hopefully he does get that rebound. I also want to get over to Aussie Wombat, who's waking up on the other side of the globe with a question. He says, with Wilson coming, I think it's likely we drop back in the draft and get a second rounder and hope Knicks or Penix drop late in the first round. What are everyone's thoughts? I'll just go really quick. Do you think Zach Wilson allows us to drop back in the draft and then potentially target a quarterback if he's there? Trevor, I'll go with you first. Does that in and of itself give us that opportunity, or was it independent? Because I know that you were kind of thinking this way to begin with.
Yeah, I do think it does give them an opportunity to do so. Again, I wonder if they've been probably sniffing around as far as trading up for a while. I just think that they think it's probably A, they're not maybe in love with the quarterback top of the draft, and B, the compensation to move up I think is a little high. And I think there are teams that behind the Broncos that do want to move up, in my opinion. There was a report a little bit, if you don't mind me kind of expanding on that, Keith. There was Tony Pauling of Sports Kita had a little bit of news out there today. Again, rumor season, so take it with a grain of salt. But he did say that the Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers are two teams that are looking to trade up for a corner in this class, and Denver's in a position where they want to what they would want to move up for. So I think that's very well a possibility, because I think the Eagles have multiple second round picks to move up, and they have plenty of picks to do so. So I would not be surprised if cornerback or tackle, I think, are prime positions for teams to move up with Denver. And I think Denver is a nice spot to possibly move back in this draft.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Albert, what are your thoughts, though, man? Do you think that Zach Wilson coming to the Denver Broncos has now changed their draft plans in any way to move back? Did it help them in that thought process where they may have been uneasy? Is it an unchanged? What are your thoughts? How does Zach Wilson affect that number 12 pick and the potential to trade back?
It looks like they are not going to mortgage the Broncos for the near future. They have now a quarterback that, pretty much they have a first rounder for only a drop of 53 spots in the draft in the 7th round. So that is very inexpensive. And Zach Wilson is still very, very young, and I think you can turn him around. And if Brock Bowers is not there at 12 anymore, no, you can't. Now you have the abilities. Now you have some bargaining power, and because there are teams that want to go up to the number 12 and get the player that they want, and Broncos can just sit and wait.
Yeah, I think it does help their position a little bit. I remember me and Trevor, it seemed like we had a lot of talk on our podcast on Friday nights. I don't know if that blended over Tuesday, but it sticks out in my Friday that, making sure that we didn't have that smell of desperation heading into the draft, getting somebody in this room so it wasn't just Stidham and Danucci and looking like, and according to a lot of people, maybe the worst quarterback room across the NFL. Get somebody in here so that it doesn't look like we're need to reach and try to get into the top 4, top 5 in order to try to get a quarterback, because if not, we're just sunk. So I think that helps. Is it the answer? Is it like, oh, well, now all things are off the board? Not at all. I think the Broncos and every team are always looking for what is it going to cost? If we really like somebody, what is it going to cost? We got to make that call. We got to figure it out. That we're doing those calls now. We're doing those calls on draft day. We're trying to figure out what our value is. And as Sean Payton said, if we just knew what everybody else was going to be doing as far as quarterback in front of us, this would make it a lot easier. But we don't have that knowledge, and a lot of things can change very, very quickly. So, boy, like I said, draft is blowing up, guys. Or the chat is blowing up. The draft, I think, is going to be blowing up as well. I talked about it too, man. I think it's going to be a wild one. I think there's a lot of potential trades that could happen even within the top 10. I think it could be record breaking. We already know that this could be record breaking in the amount of quarterbacks we've seen in a very long time. We're already dating ourselves back to 83. But before I jump into all of that and the draft and the whole 9 yards, I'm going to get to the last subject that we have before our break point. And that was, I think, a little bit easier and a quicker one to talk about. And that's Levi Wallace. Levi Wallace was brought in on a visit a few weeks ago. Then all of a sudden he appeared that he was kind of coming into Denver for another visit. Then quickly that became a visit to a signing, and the signing became real as Levi Wallace ended up maybe bolstering our secondary. Trevor, I'm going to start with you this time. Trevor, what does Levi Wallace, or what did and what does Levi Wallace do for the Broncos and maybe the draft as well? Does that take some pressure off as far as that cornerback position as well? You were talking about maybe trading out and those positions being available. I think I just stole your thunder, but go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I do think that Levi Wallace helps. As far as taking a corner in the draft, I'm just not sure Denver was ever going to go in that position anyways. And it's possible. I don't think it necessarily solves the cornerback position. Of course, I think it's a 1-year deal, so it's kind of like the whole Zach Wilson thing. I don't think it completely takes the Broncos out of going and draft a cornerback if they so choose to. If that's the best guy on their board. But Levi Wallace, again, I think that he's more of a Fabian Moreau type replacement. I think he's a little bit more of a better tackler corner than Moreau was. Moreau was great in coverage, but Levi Wallace I think he's better against the run and a better overall tackler. This is a veteran that, again, I'm not surprised that they got a chance to add. They've been kind of in that cornerback market looking for a veteran for a while now, so I'm not surprised that Levi Wallace ended up signing him. And it sounds like Levi Wallace was very interested in coming to Denver too, which is always great to hear from where the Broncos are at a roster standpoint. It's great to hear these veteran players want to come to Denver and play for BJ and play next to PS2. I think it's a great opportunity, and also may bring a little bit more competition for Riley Moss. I hope that this doesn't block Riley Moss, but it definitely, I think, will bring more competition to that cornerback room, which, again, I'm always for competition being added.
There you go. A lot of corners obviously needed. I'm going to hit Phil's comment, who just dropped stars here in a second. But first, I'm going to get Dutchy's thoughts on Levi Wallace, and then we're going to jump over to Phil. Appreciate you, Phil.
Yeah, it is good that we have another cornerback in there. Last year we had, I said we did not have a veteran in there, but I was wrong. We did have one. And now we have another one again, Levi Wallace. I think it is needed. We need some cornerback vets in there. Have some a little bit more experience, more vision of how the entire game plays, and I think Levi Wallace can bring that to the table, or to the field, or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I'm really happy with the signing.
Yeah. One thing I looked as Levi Wallace came in, like I said, a week or so ago, came in on his visit. We all start looking at a little bit of tape, the tenacity, the leadership, the alpha dog type of mentality that he brings to that secondary. I think that'll be huge. I'm right there with you, Trevor. again, I've been on this podcast talking about how I think Damari Mathis kind of got the short end of the stick. He ended up being the scapegoat of that defense early as they struggled. He ended up being kicked basically to special teams. We have Riley Moss in there that I'd really like to see start getting some snaps and start to see that 2023 draft class start to produce and be meaningful to the Denver Broncos and provide value and not just be secondary and second or bench type of players and special teams players. So, but I love the signing. Like Albert said, I think he brings some leadership, some veteran presence, and like I said, that alpha dog mentality. But now I want to jump over, like I said, Mr. Phil McLaughlin, who's been amazing for us as of lately, dropping stars left and right, helping us out. Lights are going to get brighter here pretty soon because I notice I'm pretty dang dark. So that being said, Phil's going to help out with that. I'll be able to turn up the power at the house here. He's saying it could be that besides the jersey sales for number 3, Peyton may think that he's getting Wilson away from Hackett. He can be turned around in that case. We talked about it a little bit before, but talk about, I mean, I don't think we have to belabor this fact, right? But Trevor, being in a Hackett system, being that it was tailored for Aaron Rodgers, how much was that a detriment for Zach Wilson? All of a sudden he was thrown in when he wasn't even expecting he would be getting a snap, not that soon for Aaron, in relief of Aaron Rodgers. What are your thoughts for Phil here?
Yeah, I think it was obviously never helped Zach Wilson as far as Hackett being his OC, and I think that Zach Wilson just getting away from that Jets organization is just, I think it's going to be best for him. I think the Jets, they have a really poor history at developing quarterbacks, especially those young ones. Sam Darnold's another guy that they just never developed the right way, and it just
Good point.
never felt like they ever just really invested into those guys, and really, I mean, that on the coaching side. And as far as the roster side of things, so Zach Wilson, he did get the short end of the stick a little bit, and now he gets a chance for a start in Denver, in a place where, I mean, there's not a lot of pressure on him to succeed, and not again, the market's not as big as it was in New York, and so there's a lot of pressure. Just put yourself in Zach Wilson's shoes, being in New York, being the second overall pick, going in trying to you're expected to go in there and save that franchise, and it's just like, I put myself in his shoes, and there's a lot of pressure. So, I think that he probably learned from his mistakes, and Kim is going to come to Denver. And I think he's going to succeed, and and just a lot less pressure on him now, which I think is going to really help and boost his confidence, hopefully, here in Denver. But I think that hopefully, this is going to be a great turnaround for both sides, the Broncos and for Zach Wilson, because the Broncos, they need a quarterback, and they need a quarterback now.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I think that's where all of Broncos country are. That's why everyone's thinking, don't waste the 12, maybe trade up, make sure that we get a quarterback. I don't know if we're going to be in this position again, but Albert, your thoughts here for Phil, who dropped those 100 stars, and we appreciate again, Phil, all the help. But what are your thoughts for Phil here as he's thinking, Wilson gets away from Hackett, and we all know the Hackett experience here in Denver, but he gets away from that New York culture, those 2 bad years of coaching. Maybe he comes in here and Sean can be the guy. Do you think Sean can be the guy for a guy like Zach Wilson?
I think so. We saw it happening with Russell Wilson. He turned it around, and he made Russell Wilson competitive again. And I think this can happen too. Yeah, and the number 3 idea, yeah, I love it because I still have 1, 2, 3 Wilson jerseys, so I can keep wearing them.
There you go, bud. There you go, man. Just recycle, rewash, reuse. Hey, don't throw that in the landfill, man. Go ahead and keep that jersey. We might be just okay, man. If nothing else, maybe pull a few stitches for a number. We're set to go. At least the Wilson stayed the same. No, but for all joking aside, man, like I said, I was high on Zach Wilson. I'm excited for him to come in, for him to be competition, see what is all possible. And again, maybe get that favorite cologne that Denver's been wearing, wafted away from us. That favorite cologne is called Desperation. No, that's seems like where we've been at as of lately, especially when it comes to the quarterback position. Scoops did come in and say, that Phil may be onto something. Recall that Sean Payton said that Hackett did the worst coaching job he had ever seen, quote unquote. So, Albert, did you have one other thing to say there, buddy?
Yeah, I saw an thingy from Kurt Valenti in the chat, and I
Yeah.
think we should, I want to address that. Saw a
Okay.
tweet tonight. They list 6 NFL vets stars most possible of being moved during the draft. Second on the list, ding 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 ding, Alvin Kamara. That could be something that we have not considered yet.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We could get to Alvin Kamara and the possibilities here as we kind of head into the draft and the second part of our show. But I gotta, not that I'm going to take anything away from our fantastic cousins on the East Coast, Kurt and Kurt with the K&K Sports Show. My goodness, stumbling over the words here late. But what I want to get to, and what we promised we always get to, as we're already way past the halfway point, is to our fantastic sponsor, Morgan Trinkets. Morgan Trinkets is been supporting us guys now month after month, and they've been supporting you since 1990 with Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, and Estate Gold at wholesale prices. I'm telling you what, guys, beautiful, beautiful pieces. All their gold, 100% real, 10, 14, 18 karat gold. All their silver, sterling silver. They have silver items starting at $10 all the way up to $2,000. Once nationwide, they specialize now in doing shows in northern Colorado and southern Wyoming. So check those out as well. Free shipping on all their orders of $50 or more. Check them out at Morgan Trinkets on Facebook. They do all their transactions through PayPal there. And if you catch them at one of their shows, all major credit cards are received. So Morgan Trinkets, again, Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, Estate Gold at wholesale prices, and adding to their collection every single day, it seems like, man. Just amazing pieces that they bring in. Check them out today, Morgan Trinkets. And then we'll get back to Mr. Kurt Valente's thoughts. My first thought, Kurt, I'm sorry, and then I'll pass it around to the rest of you guys. My first thought is I need to know what his contract is. I would love to do a draft day trade, but at the same time, what is a running back worth these days? We're talking probably a 5th round pick for Alvin Kamara. That's probably what I'm giving up. Maybe a 4th round pick, just because right now running backs, I can get any running back I want, probably in the 3rd round, and get one of the top ones. So how much are you getting Alvin Kamara? How much are you paying for him? What's the value there? What's his contract look like? That's all got to come into play. Alvin Kamara at the right price for very little draft capital, or giving up very few picks. Yeah, I might be on board with. Albert, you brought it up, so you answer first. It looks like Trevor's looking up some information, and I'll let him go last.
It is intriguing. Kamara, he has been top 15 quarterbacks for many, many, many years. And he is quite an interesting player. So, yeah, if we can get him for the cheap, absolutely. But bring that veteran presence in there and see if we can help our Pookie to get it to newer heights.
Yeah, would be a fantastic compliment. Had to look at all the specifics, but I bet Trevor has some specifics right in front of us. So, Trevor, what are your thoughts on Kamara? Does it work out? Do you think it's a viable contract to try to trade? I know that the Saints love to push money down the road, so that's the one thing that scares me.
Yeah, I'm not huge on trading for Alvin Kamara. He's 28 also, but his contract right now, it's $18 million cap hit right now. That's where his contract's at. And then the following year is 20 million. So actually 29 million. So that's a lot of money to, again, like you just said, Keith, the Saints can continue to push money down the line. Eventually it's going to catch up to you. If I'm the Broncos, I'm not helping out the Saints and taking on that money. I mean, yeah, if they want to pay 3/4 of his contract, okay. I mean, we can talk about it, but for what I mean, if you want me to take on all of his contract, no, I don't want to do it. If you want a running back, I would just get one, in the draft. I would draft one, or maybe someone as an undrafted free agent. but I'm not trading for Kamara right now just because of the connection between him and Sean Payton, and just because Sean Payton took him in the draft. I just I don't want the I don't want the Saints problem as far as cap wise right now. We already have enough, cap problems of our own. I don't think we need to take on anything that the Saints have as far as their cap.
That's where I was at, buddy. That's where I was worried about. That's what I was concerned about. We don't need to do that. By the way, I was just kind of skipping back a little bit, picking up that option for PS2 in 2025, like $19.5 million. Well, that $100 million that you thought you'd be able to spend next year, guys, that just got knocked down by 20 million. So now we're down to 80, and you can see how this all goes as we have to get these guys taken care of. Quinn Miners is obviously the next one that everyone expects on that board. So want to get to this, guys, really quick, because boy, I almost forgot about it, and then Michael kind of reminded me here in the chat. We have, of all the news, we thought on April 22nd, the big news was going to be that we were just getting brand new jerseys. And a whole new era was going to start for the Denver Broncos. And Albert was going to have to change his background. I'm going to have to change my background over here. My goodness, the Broncos are all new. No, luckily we kept our horse, so we're all good there. But we did get some jersey changes. First thoughts, Albert. What are your thoughts on the brand new look for the Denver Broncos? The ones I forget what they call their collection now, but not the throwbacks, not the 77s, just the standard triple jerseys that were released first and foremost. What were your thoughts on those, bud?
Yeah, some of the things that are on the sleeves do not remind me anything on the Rocky Mountains or the Denver Broncos. It is more like charging something. So it looks more like Charger little symbols and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I like the color schemes, but those things, yeah, I do not like. Just give me what we have. Put our Rocky Mountain logo in there. That would fit nice.
I agree, man. Our background, it seems like it's a part of the New Jersey redesign, if anybody hasn't noticed. But that being said, it's been around, or even been around on I think the draft hats of 2021. If you look at that, a lot of people have pointed at that as maybe that inspiration for what we're seeing on that sleeve, that kind of Charger-esque type of look as we're trying to represent some mountains and some snow caps. But Trevor, what were your thoughts? What were maybe a little bit younger generation than me and Albert here? Maybe that's who they're trying to get towards. Did you fall in love with the new Denver Broncos uniforms?
I'm not in love with them, but I actually don't mind them as much as I think, as much as I keep looking at them, I actually don't mind them. The only thing I do not like is the white helmets with the dark navy blue jerseys. I would just go with the dark helmet, but I think they're going to play around. This gives them more flexibility, I think, to play around with different things, different uniform changes with the pants and the jersey, and then with the helmet. I think they have more flexibility to figure out, a specific color scheme that works out for them. But I actually don't mind them. Actually, I like the orange, I like the blue, I like the white. That white helmet. Yeah, I'm not a big fan along with the navy blue, the white helmet. I'm not. I just think it's a knockoff version of the snow caps from last year. I like the snow caps last year, but this white helmet too bland. I just don't think it fits with any of the uniforms that Broncos have right now that they just introduced.
Yeah, it's going to create a whole new era. I mean, I remember Andrew Mason, he put it out on X, Twitter, all the old news articles and of the people who hated the uniforms we just moved on from. But of course, we go out there, we win back-to-back Super Bowls, in those uniforms in very short order. And boy, after that, everyone kind of felt a little bit better about those uniforms. Maybe that's what we'll need here. Michael Ronquillo saying he ordered the PS2 Midnight Navy Alternative Bronco jersey. I like it. You know how much I like it, Michael? We'll have to figure out on a timestamp who did it first. I ordered my first ever brand new jersey when they came out, and I ordered a PS2 Midnight Navy Alternative Bronco jersey. We're going to be matching, buddy. We're going to be twins, man. I appreciate you letting me know that, and that's what kind of clued me in to almost us forgetting about this, guys. We're gonna go a little bit longer if that's okay with my co-host here. A simple nod is great, and I got that, and hopefully you guys all like it as well because I think we just got too much to get to, and I want to get to it all. So we'll go a little bit longer. Anthony, a name I haven't seen in here before. Anthony coming in over on Facebook says, I like that matte navy blue. And I do too, man. I think that's pretty sick. I'm in disagreement with Trevor. I like the white. I like the snow cap design. And obviously, it would have been cool to have the Denver Bronco D on the side of that. But that's not the jersey that we mainly went with. We did bring back those 77 throwbacks that will obviously be shown, but probably what, a game? Maybe
3 times.
2 at best?
The Monty Leach said they can wear up to 3 times a year. The throwbacks.
Ooh.
So
Yeah, that's gonna be those are gonna be exciting games, man. We're gonna be out to tune in for every single one of those because I think that's the ones that everybody really, really, really wanted, right? We also had Michael, thank you for chiming in and reminding me it's the Mile High collection is the name of that as well. So love the Phil's coming in, says love the throwback, that orange crush baby. I love it too, Phil. I think that's, like I said, that was fantastic. Victor saying white helmet with the orange, blue helmets with the other two. And yeah, like some great pairings that we have. And Aussie coming in across the ocean saying, always love the orange crush, the most feared defense in the NFL. Yeah, those throwbacks are going to give us all the reminder, all the reminiscing of those days, and it'll be interesting to see him flying around. I had to agree with one of the old comments that Andrew Mason posted from the late 90s as we switched. I love the all orange because I used to think we just stood out, and it was so much easier for a quarterback to be able to track going across the field. That bright orange jersey we had, there was nothing else like it in the NFL, and I think it was always a help. So that was my little inside thought process behind our old look and the jerseys we used to rock with that highlighter orange almost. So guys, we've talked jerseys, we've talked about all this prep for the draft, man, but Broncos are doing all this, like I said, whether it be Zach Wilson, whether it's getting PS2 in line, whether it's bringing in a Levi Wallace. I think we filled a lot of depth holes, I guess you could say. And this is just the recent, as we went defensive line, as we went out and we got linebackers, we got a safety, we brought in a wide receiver. I mean, we've really been filling some depth positions on this roster. And now, we're all set up 48 hours to the draft, guys. 48 hours to the draft. And I'm going to plug this. Well, I'm going to plug 2 things really quick. A, if you're joining late, the Pick is in Draft Show, big mashup, Denver Bronco Roundup, Rocky Mountain Sports Network, K&K Sports Show. We're all coming together for a fantastic 3 days, hour to hour, minute to minute, in-depth analysis, every single pick, giveaways every single day, probably every single hour, the way we have it lined up, it seems like, but giveaways every single day throughout the broadcast. Guys, do yourself a favor, sign up for the event. It's already on Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Follow both the pages, Rocky Mountain Sports Network and K&K Sports Show. Hint. That's the way you go ahead and get all set up to get eligible for those giveaways that you'll want to be a part of. So that being said, I want to get to the fantastic show and talk about the one that you were on, Trevor, last night, K&K Sports Show. You guys did like hour and a half, 2 hours, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I don't know. 2.5 hours. One full round. I think the year round went longer than the draft's going to go, but that's okay. Man, you guys talked about it. You mashed it through. You guys had a lot of great content, and I wanted to bring that back, and we're going to all 3 of us talk through it. I'll probably let Albert talk first because I've been talking forever, and now you guys need to take over for a second. But Trevor, why don't you start walking through the 12 picks that you have, which gets us to the Denver Broncos from last night that you put into this draft, man? Who do you have as we start going down? And we can probably go pretty quick with a few of these, right?
Yeah.
All right,
So,
buddy. Kick it off, bud.
I have Caleb Williams going number 1 to the Chicago Bears. So I'm just curious on your guys' thoughts. I gave my thoughts last time on Caleb Williams. Again, I think that he's just what he can do elite as far as what separates him from these other quarterbacks, in my opinion. Great pocket awareness, and he can play in and out of the structure of an offense. It's just going to be depending on who's his head coach, who's his OC, and what do they have around him in Chicago. So hopefully he will be able to work out there in Chicago. But I just think that he does have those elite traits that we haven't seen since Patrick Mahomes. So I would be very curious on what you guys see with Caleb Williams, and do you agree with Caleb Williams going number one overall with the Chicago Bears?
Albert, over to you, buddy. You hit that first. What do you think about Caleb Williams? Is he the number one?
Yeah, I truly believe so. Everybody's talking he is the generational quarterback. We just have to see that. But yeah, it's all the hype that it is. It's all about Caleb Williams, and yeah, he's going number one.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think, like you said, his elusiveness within the pocket, what he's able to do to create behind the line of scrimmage and extend plays is something that you don't see a whole lot of. That's what really sets him apart, and I can see why Chicago has fallen in love with him. He's like an upgraded Justin Fields in almost every capacity. So him now being the quarterback in Chicago makes perfect sense. Trevor, good pick there. Where do you have it number two, bud?
Yeah, so again, there's been a lot of rumors that maybe JJ McCarthy might go here, maybe it's Drake May, but I have Jaden Daniels, quarterback out of LSU, going to the Commanders. I think they've been linked to him for a while, obviously, and I think that they're going to stick and pick there with him. Cliff Kingsbury being brought in, I think Daniels fits his offense the best out of Drake May, JJ McCarthy, and Daniels, because I don't think Caleb Williams will be there, obviously. So Jaden Daniels for me to the Commanders at number two. That's what I have. Here's to what's your guys' thoughts.
I'm going to keep the rotation the same. Albert, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a heads up for me. It could be Drake May as well. Yeah, they are needy. Their quarterback is gone, so they're really needy. So they're sticking where they are, and yeah, it is either Drake May or Jim Daniels.
Yeah, we're right down there with that. I think that's where the boards are flipping coins right there at number two. Sometimes Drake May, Jaden Daniels. Had to agree. Cliff Kingsbury seems like a more Jaden Daniels type of pick. If I had to lean one way and one way alone, just based on that, that's the way I would go. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll agree with you here. I'll go with the Jaden Daniels, but I think, like Albert says, I think it's still an up in the air type of pick. I think that's something that could come down to the wire, and won't be surprised if it goes one way or the other. So, but for the purpose of this, Jaden Daniels makes a lot of sense. I'll go there as well. What did you have at number three, bud?
Yeah, so again, there's a lot of different scenarios with this pick. I think this is where the draft starts here, because I think the New England Patriots can go a different amount of routes. They could either trade the pick away, or I do think it's between two quarterbacks here. It's either Drake May or it's JJ McCarthy. I have Drake May, the quarterback out of North Carolina, going here to the Patriots. I think that again, this is all speculation, but for everything we know, Robert Kraft is very high on Drake May. So from everything that sounds like, they would take a heck of an offer for them to move off this pick. He's a guy they can set behind Jacoby Brissett for a year. In New England. Doesn't have to play right away. So I'm just curious on your guys' thoughts of Drake May. Again, I think it could be JJ McCarthy too. But I think Drake May, has a higher upside, in my opinion, than JJ McCarthy.
Albert, thoughts?
Yeah, just depending on how pick number two falls. That is how the New England Patriots will decide. Because if it is not Drake May, then they probably will trade back and get some more picks and then take it from there.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, just the way this board lines out, I agree. I think it's Drake May is the best fit. I think that fits well in what New England would like to do, and start that process and have some stability there at quarterback. I think Drake May gives you all that. Comes with experience, comes with heritage or lineage, I guess you could say, as well. So Drake May, I think brings some solidity to New England. It would be interesting as far as a trade, but we were talking about Washington needing a haul. I think the Patriots would be asking such a large haul that it almost takes them out of contention. So I think they stick with that pick, and I think that Drake May would be the case. So Man, we're falling right in line. We better see some shakeups here pretty quick. Trevor, number 4, and then we'll get over to Albert. Albert is pointing though. What is he
Yeah.
say? What is he pointing at?
Do you see the Patriots maybe moving up to number 2?
Boy, it's certainly a possibility. I wouldn't put it past him. But I just don't. I don't have that feel. I haven't heard enough chatter, and I don't think that honestly that Washington wants to play second fiddle. I think they don't want to be having picking the number 3 quarterback or a different prospect. I think they need to get their QB. That's the only reason I don't. I don't think that Washington would want to pass on that opportunity. And if they end up picking that quarterback, number 3, boy, talk about a comparison that'll be made for years and years and years if that happened to be the case. Trevor, your thoughts on that as far as trading up for the Patriots?
Yeah, I just don't see them giving away picks. I think this is a roster that's kind of like Denver's, honestly, where they need a lot of help, and that's why I say I think if they're going to move off this pick at 3, they would be trading down to get more picks. Trading up, I think it would cost them probably next year's first round pick, and who else knows? I mean, I think the Commanders
Yeah.
again, their asking price would be huge, even if they're going to listen at all. Again, they've been on Jay and Dance for a little while now, so I don't even know if they would want to listen at all. They may just want to take their number 1 guy on their board and not risk losing on their number 1 guy on their board, from where everything stands with Caleb Williams. So, yeah, I don't see
Yeah.
it happening. I think if anything, the Patriots would move down if they would move off the pick at number 3.
Very good, man. I think we went through number 3. Let's get to number 4, buddy, as we cruise right through to number 12.
Yeah, so on number 4, again, could it be a shakeup here in a trade? But I think the Cardinals, again, like the Patriots, Commanders, I think they have a high asking price at pick 4. We've heard anything from 3 first-round picks to possibly get up to number 4. Minnesota would be in consideration here to possibly move up. Denver possibly too. I just think it's very unlikely now. But I have the Arizona Cardinals sticking and picking here and picking Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver at Ohio State. I think that he's just the number 1 receiver in general. You can make the case that Neighbors would be a guy that could give him a run for his money, and maybe Odunze. But I think that the Cardinals they need to get weapons for Kyler Murray, and the best way to do that is they can pick at number 4. I think, in my opinion, one of the better players overall in this class. So Cardinals picking here Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4.
Albert, do you like Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals at 4? Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, because they need it, and yeah, it's not going very well in their receiving core there with the Cards. So yeah, they need something. Yep.
Yeah, I think for me the only debate here, for the most part, I mean, I think someone could wow them with an offer. If someone is over the moon and they need to get that quarterback and they're valuing, let's face it, it's probably going to be JJ McCarthy most likely at that pick. But if they're valuing the 4th overall quarterback, someone that they feel is high on their board, there is that potential of them trading out of this pick. But I'll stick with it in your pick here, bud. I like Marvin Harrison Jr. The only thing, like I said, the only debate I put in there, Malik Neighbors could be a possibility as well. I think that's the only other real option that I see maybe sneaking in if they go wide receiver here, would be them maybe going Malik Neighbors. Michael Ronquillo saying the Arizona Cardinals don't want to trade past the number 6 pick in the NFL draft. And if that's the case, not a whole lot of movement, as the Chargers and the Giants would be coming up next. And the Giants would probably be the most likely scenario if they wanted to maybe skip ahead and make sure they didn't miss out on a guy. But that being said, we're going to go ahead and move on to the number 5 pick on Trevor's board. What'd you go with, Trevor?
Yeah, so again, this is my first real shakeup of the draft. I have the Chargers trading this pick to the Minnesota Vikings,
Mm.
and the Minnesota Vikings obviously giving this much up, as I'm about to tell you, they're giving up. They would be taking JJ McCarthy here at pick number 5, but Minnesota would be giving up pick 11, pick 23, and a 2025 first round draft pick to the Los Angeles Chargers for the 5th overall pick, and the 3rd round pick is going back to Minnesota in this trade. Minnesota does not have a 2nd round pick, obviously, since they traded that pick to move up to number 23 in the first round of the draft. So just curious on your guys' thoughts. I think JJ McCarthy would be fine sitting behind Sam Darnold in Minnesota. I think that would be, honestly, any quarterback to go in this draft, Minnesota is probably the number one destination for any quarterback in this draft. I think that any quarterback that goes to Minnesota has a great possibility of succeeding. I think JJ McCarthy would have a great chance to succeed. Wouldn't have to be the guy right away. Has a lot of playmakers around him. Jordan Addison, and then Hawkinson, and so I just think that they have a nice situation there. And O'Connell is a very highly respected offensive mind. So I'm curious on your guys' thoughts with this trade. And plus, JJ McCarthy going here, pick 5 to Minnesota Vikings.
Albert, go ahead, man. Run with this, buddy.
I think that the Chargers might stay where they are, and they have some needs themselves. And they
That's
might
for
even
sure.
they might go after Brock Bowers, and I would not be surprised if they draft Brock Bowers there.
Yeah. Just to curtail off that, Albert, if you don't mind, I think that they do need a lot of help in that regard. If you look at their receiving talent or lack thereof, especially through free agency, that we saw a lot of those big names walk out the door. They are thin when it comes to who Justin Herbert is going to be throwing to. Brock Bowers is possibly that generational talent, has been kind of fallen out of contention, I guess, or at least had a conversation, I should say, as of lately, of being this high. But all the better for the Chargers if they end up going that way. I could definitely see that being the case. I could see that trade happening, though, as well, Trevor. That's a big, big value for a team to get back and to be, a team like the Arizona Cardinals to continue to build their roster as well. JJ McCarthy, the only thing I would say, if you go up and you get that guy, I think he's competing, at least in training camp, from day one. And I think he does have that opportunity to beat out a Sam Darnold. I was a huge Kevin O'Connell fan. That's a guy who I wanted the Broncos to bring in as their head coach. He ended up going to the Vikings instead. And que sera, sera. That being said, I just think that he would have the opportunity, but I'm definitely also in line with what Albert says. Obviously you got a trade or a shakeup in there. It's going to happen. Like I said, I think it could be a wild one. This could definitely happen, but I could see the scenario that Albert painted out as well. So that being said, let's rock and roll. Let's get to number 6. What do you got, bud?
Yes, number 6. Kenny's New York Giants. I have Malik Neighbors, wide receiver out of LSU, going here. I think that there's a lot of smoke going around that the Giants want a quarterback and they be threatened to take one. That's why I have Minnesota moving in front of the Giants to secure their guy. But I think in this case, the Giants, listen, they need a wide receiver. They need help for Drew Lock and for Daniel Jones. Maybe the Giants down the line could possibly move up back into the first round for a quarterback. That's a team to keep an eye on for a guy like Bo Nix, possibly. But I think the Giants, they got to secure the wide receiver out here. I can't see them moving too far back if they want to secure one of those top receivers. Malik Neighbors would give them that number 1 wide receiver type player, and they just haven't had that since OBJ, and it's been a while. So Malik Neighbors going here to the Giants at number 6 wide receiver from LSU.
Kenny's jumping in just because he's a Giants guy. He says he loved that idea of the Cardinals trading, because that means if that happens, I think the Giants could trade with Chicago, and Chicago gets Joe Alt. Giant gets pick number 9 and a 2025 first round pick. So he likes his Giants maybe trading out of this pick if they traded out of Arizona. Like I said, it could get pretty wild, but that's not the case as far as what Trevor's saying. He's saying Malik Neighbors, correct, goes to the Giants. What do you think about Malik Neighbors heading to the Giants? Another LSU product, as well, as if you want to talk about OBJ and now Malik Neighbors and make that draw that parallel as well. What do you think about the Giants getting a wide receiver like Malik Neighbors? Yeah, like Malik Neighbors. Sorry, Albert, go ahead, buddy.
I think it might be even differently, that they're not even drafting a wide receiver. It might be they are going to think about protecting the quarterback and get an offensive lineman, because that is what they have problems with as well. So I think they might go on O-line, a guard or an tackle.
Yeah. Joe Alt, like Kenny was saying, perfect guy that could be taken near the top of the very top of the draft. Would certainly upgrade their offensive line, and I don't think there would be any question, honestly, if they end up taking a Joe Alt either. You're right, Albert. They've kind of struggled across that front, and I don't think Joe Alt is the worst case scenario coming out of this draft if they end up going that way. I already talked to you about how much I like Malik Neighbors. I think that he could end up being a question even for the top wide receiver taken in this draft, alongside Marvin Harrison Jr. And you're right, they need some weapons. I know that Kenny is in love with a few more of the wide receivers they have on the roster than maybe I am in particular, and Malik Neighbors, answers that questions or puts those questions to bed as far as some of the best talent that they can put on the field. So I think it's a great pick, bud. I think that solves a lot of issues. So on to number 7, and Kenny's just saying LSU is wide receiver university. It certainly is, sir. Number 7, what do you got going on there, bud?
Yeah, so at number 7, I have the Tennessee Titans taking offensive lineman from Notre Dame, offensive tackle from Notre Dame, Joe Alt. I think this is a guy that's been mocked them for a while as well. I think they're going to go offensive line. It's again, if it's not Joe Alt, it's probably Fashanu. They got to help protect Will Levis and keep him upright. So I think Joe Alt. I mean, they're jumping for joy with this pick. I think he's one of the better players in this class as well. Definitely, I think the best offensive tackle in this class. I think this would make a ton of sense for the Titans. And yeah, just curious on your guys' thoughts about that. Joe Alt to the Titans at 7.
Yeah, most mocked player to the same team, I would almost say, outside of maybe Caleb Williams, number 1. Joe Alt to the Titans. Albert, what are your thoughts? I know that you had Joe Alt going a little bit earlier. You can give me your thoughts on who you think the Titans would pick, but maybe also give me your thoughts on if you think Joe Alt would fit the mold there, or fit the pick for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, if Joe Alt is still available there, then yeah, why wouldn't the Titans get him? But if he is no longer there, I could see them trading back, and then trading back for some extra picks, maybe in high first rounder and the first rounder. I could see that happen.
To kind of mimic what you guys were just saying, a lot of people think that Alt is far and away the number 1 in the class as far as offensive lineman, and then it kind of drops off. I could see them saying, well, we're not in love with Fashanu here. We would rather trade back. Maybe if they could trade back just a little bit to where they could still get a Fashanu, that would make a lot of sense there as well. But Joe Alt, like I said, most mocked guy outside of Caleb Williams to the Bears. Joe Alt to the Titans. It makes too much sense. And the way your draft board fell, Trevor, I'm in 100% agreement. So, like your draft board so far. Let's see if we can keep it going, man. We're hitting number 8, and we're almost on the home stretch, man. We might just make it in time. No, we're not going to make it, but it's okay. We'll go a little over.
So I pick 8. I have the Atlanta Falcons taking Dallas Turner, edge out of Alabama. Again, this is one of my favorite, and I think has a real argument to be one of the best defensive players in this class in general. Just Dallas Turner. I think he's got all the tools to be an elite edge rusher, and he can cover. And he's a freak athletic wise. I mean, he just all the testing and everything he does. Just watching him, he can drop back in coverage. He can get after the quarterback, not just by bull rushing a guy, but also using his hands at a high level. So I think he's got a lot of usage with his hands and just a lot of usage there in general. Just being the potential to be an elite edge rusher for a team, and just he just offers so much. He's a complete player in my opinion. So I think he's too good of a player for the Atlanta Falcons to pass upon. Again, Raheem Morris is a defensive minded head coach. That's their head coach now. So this is why I have Dallas Turner going to Atlanta at pick 8.
Yeah, maybe number 3 overall draft or mock drafted guy to a team as well so far. But Dallas Turner, a freak athlete out of Alabama. Certainly, Atlanta could use some defensive help. What do you think about Turner to Atlanta? Sorry, Albert.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea, but I also would like the idea if Neighbors would still be there, him to go to the Falcons, because they could use him there as well.
Yeah, a lot of people have a lot of different thoughts. That extra wide receiver. If for some reason Bowers was there, Bowers has been a thought as well because even though they have Pitts, do you really pass on a guy like that? He would certainly open it up with Kirk Cousins as well, but they need some help on defense, and they're not getting any younger in some of the positions. And Dallas Turner not only gets them younger, but probably gets them the best freak athlete. And as I think the board has fallen, first defensive player taken off the board as well. So that just goes to show you uh, what this guy is and what he's capable of, and what the expectations are on the next level. Dallas Turner does make a lot of sense, and I'm lockstep with you, Albert and Trevor, I guess, as well, because Albert was thinking that was a good pick as well. So, um, hit the comments really quick. Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU too. It starts creeping up in this conversation. Absolutely, Roma Dunze for the Falcons starts creeping up in this conversation. One that we haven't talked about as well. Kenny saying this could be a trade spot if JJ is still on the board as well. And yeah, absolutely. Atlanta could certainly pick up some more picks and would love to do so as they continue to build. They're a team that is just a few pieces away now with all the pieces that they put together, which were a lot of teams are on the other side and looking for that big piece. Trevor, number 9, we're almost there. Keep going, buddy.
Yeah, so pick 9 again. This is a trade. I have the Chicago Bears trading this pick to the Indianapolis Colts. So I'll get the trade details here. So the Colts are trading pick 15, pick 46 in the second round, pick 117 in the fourth round, and a 2025 fourth round pick for pick 9. They are trading up in my mock draft to pick 9 for Terrion Arnold, the corner out of Alabama. I think the Colts will be aggressive here, just in my opinion, because I think that the Raiders would take a cornerback there, and I don't know that Arnold would still be there by the time the Colts pick up pick 15. And that's why I do think that they're aggressive to get their to possibly get a number 1 corner here. I think I like Arnold a lot. I think he's great in coverage. I think to me he's the best all around cornerback in this class. So I think if you are the Colts, I think you're aggressive, go up and get your guy and lockstep, get that number 1 cornerback spot. And Terron Arnold to the Colts at pick 9. Colts trade up.
Big trade up, man. Big trade up. Colts get the number 9 pick. They go second defensive player, first cornerback off the board. Terrion Arnold. What are your thoughts, Albert?
Who was the original pick for?
The Bears.
The Bears. The Bears needs some help as well, and they have now a brand new quarterback.
Yep.
He could use a brand new wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see the Bears sticking where they are and get a wide receiver, one of the top wide receivers. If Uzumbe or whatever his name is, or Dunze or Thomas or Neighbors is still there, I might see them staying where they are and picking one of those.
Yeah, I could definitely see him go in that direction. And Dunze has been a guy that's kind of been linked there as well. But I like the idea, man. Colts trading up. Colts need that help. Colts are getting closer and closer and closer to being a contender. But that defense, and especially that secondary, has been holding them back. Terrion Arnold, that's my guy, man. I know that Mitchell has been shooting up draft boards, but I still like Terrion Arnold as my QB1. So great pickup by the Colts, and great, with 2 picks in the top 10 to trade that out and get the haul that they get in the back. And the Bears are looking really, really good heading into the future. So I like the pick. I like the way the draft boards lining out. So number 10, man, let's keep it moving.
Yes, and another reason why I had that happen for the Bears is because they have 4 picks total in this draft. So after pick 9, they don't have another pick till the third round at pick 75. So that's why I have them also trading back to possibly get more picks in this draft in general. So that's another reason why I thought they would move back possibly here at pick 9. But here at pick 10, I have the New York Jets on the clock. They're taking Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia. I was back and forth about this one. I think that they could go offensive line here. Fuaga's been a guy that's been mocked to them a lot. J.C. Latham could be a guy that goes here. But I do think that they would address tight end here and give Aaron Rodgers another weapon. They're more of a team again now that wants to put all the chips in on Rodgers this year, so they get him another weapon. And Brock Bowers, honestly, I don't think they can go wrong here. They kind of address offensive line in a free agency, so
Hmm.
I do think that the Jets would be aggressive here. I think if Brock Bowers on the board, I think this would be a team that I could see him
Whew.
going to before the Broncos.
Yeah, man. That's that that would be an upgrade that Aaron Rodgers had wanted for years and years and years when he was with the Green Bay Packers. He gets to the Jets, and he kind of gets his wishes. He gets an offensive weapon like Brock Bowers here. I know that Albert, you were talking about Bowers going much earlier. First, what do you think about the Jets getting Bowers here, and how that would help? And if you want, yeah, go a different direction on this pick, and tell me where you think that the Jets might be able to go.
It wouldn't help the Broncos because they don't get Brock Bowers.
Nope.
It would be
Nope.
it would be the contrary. Yeah, no, I can see the Jets doing that, and I also can see. I know he's not the head coach, but the offensive coach. But Hackett would love that and take Brock Bowers away from the Broncos. He would love that. So if he can get his way, then yes. And then I think it is, yeah, bad and good because if Brock Bowers is gone, then the Broncos can just peacefully trade back from number 12.
Yeah. This is, I think, another trade position possibly. Just because, as Kenny's saying, Jets need O line and only O line. And again, I think there's still opportunity to trade back if you have a close trade partner and maybe be able to still pick up your offensive lineman and pick up get some additional picks and have somebody maybe come up for a Bowers. But I'll be honest, I think it's a couple of people run the show over there, and right now I don't know how much say the Robert Salah has. I know that Aaron Rodgers has a lot to say, and I even think that Nathaniel Hackett maybe even has a little bit more pull, believe it or not, as disgusting as that may sound. And if that's the case, I could definitely see a Brock Bowers going here, and honestly, a fantastic weapon for Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully, they can just keep him upright long enough. I know they did invest in the draft, but they could probably use some additional help, especially getting a little bit younger there, and that's why that O line is needed. So, nice point out, Kenny. We're rolling, man. We're almost there. We're at a number 11, man. It's getting crazy. It's getting crazy because now you got a trade that's already happened, and number 11 pick that we thought was going to be the Vikings has now been traded to
The Los Angeles Chargers. So this is another reason why I think that the Chargers may trade down. I have the Chargers picking at pick 11, obviously in that trade with Minnesota. They're taking Rome Odunze, wide receiver out of Washington. That would be a steal for me if I'm the Chargers. I would not mind trading down for Odunze because he's one of those top 3 elite wide receivers prospects in this class. So you trade back, you get all those picks, and you get Rome Odunze. Suddenly, if you're the Chargers, and I mean, you were looking at your roster like, okay,
Mm.
we got something to play with. We got an elite wide receiver, and we traded down to get premium picks. And I think that gives Harbaugh something to work with going forward. And if you're the Broncos, yeah, that's a little scary going forward with Herbert and Odunze beat on this roster. So definitely curious what you guys' thoughts are. But that's another reason why I have the Chargers moving down because I had Odunze sliding to them at pick 11.
Albert, take it away. Roma Dunze. We've talked about him a few times on here. Chargers were able to slide back. Maybe they didn't get the top pick sitting there at 5, but they still get Roma Dunze and additional picks. What are your thoughts, Roma Dunze, and what he could do for the Chargers? And if you wanted to go a different direction, feel free, sir. And then we'll be at number 12.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of Odunze. We have a PS2, so they can have him. So that's
fair.
Yeah, they can have him.
Fair enough. Roma Dunze, I think, is that addition that could be great. We talked about it before. They need help, and they need a receiver. Most of the receivers have walked out the door in one way or another. And Roma Dunze, boy, does he remind you like a Chargers receiver or not? Just one of those guys that are always competitive around the ball, jump balls, fighting for balls. I really like what Roma Dunze brings to the field, and the Chargers, I think it'd be a good fit. Yes, we have PS2. I think we should be okay. But that being said, it's going to be a challenge as he's one of the top talents in the draft at wide receiver. So, all right, man. I'm ready, man. Number 12. Who we getting, Trevor? Who is it, buddy?
Well, I mean, I have nobody going to the Broncos at 12 because it's actually a trade back with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh,
The Broncos here, they're trading pick 12 to the Cincinnati Bengals. This is what they're getting back in return. So I think you'll be happier with me once you hear the return. Pick 18 is going back to the Broncos. Pick 49 in the second round is going back to the Broncos. And pick 97 in the third round is going back to Denver Broncos. I think that is a heck of a package for pick 12. I think that's too good to pass up there. I did the whole, again, all these trades were through the value chart, through the Jimmy Johnson value chart. So I'm not cheating, I promise. But no, I think this is a heck of a package for the Broncos. And Cincinnati moves up to get their offensive tackle of the future. Olu Fushanu ends up going here to pick 12 with the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that's a heck of a pickup for them as well. They got to do whatever they possible to protect Joe Burrow. Can't afford for him to get hurt anymore. I think there is also something to be said for paying a premium for a premium position. That's going to be offensive tackle. So I think for Shanu here, I would make a perfect sense. And I think this is right around the range where I think the Broncos could possibly trade up from. Again, we've heard the Steelers, as we mentioned earlier, the Rams possibility, the Eagles maybe as well, a little bit further back. So I think anytime you can get a chance to trade back and get these amount of picks and get more players to possibly pick in this year's draft, more flexibility, most importantly. I mean, I think if you're the Denver Broncos, I think you do this trade.
well, Albert, first I got to say, I can head over to you, and I'm going to get your reaction. The Broncos trade the number 12 pick, but they're only slid back 6 spots. They get the 18, and because of doing that, we also get the 49 and the 97th pick overall. Pretty good value. What are your thoughts if the Broncos went down that path? Albert's celebration for anybody who's listening only at home.
Yep, celebration because we don't need a quarterback. Brock Bowers is gone. Yeah, we can go back. Yep. Yeah, I would celebrate that every year.
I hate to say it, but the way this draft board fell, I'm in 100% agreement with you, Trevor. I appreciate the research that you did to make sure this was a true, viable option as far as value is concerned in the everyday NFL world. And I think you picked us up a heck of a dang trade. And the only thing that I'm going to give you a critique on is the pick that you gave to the Bengals. And I think this is a perfect, and I think someone might have mentioned it off to the side. No, it was a trade back with the Jets, but I'm going to put J.C. Latham here. And I think that would be my pick for the Bengals. But that's the only critique I have. The Broncos sliding back 6 picks, fantastic. And then to be able to pick that 49th up, second round pick, and the 97th pick. Now the Broncos are loaded, and we have, heck, trade up, trade down possibilities galore, and we don't have to worry about the fact that we're desperate with draft picks, man. Fantastic. We wanted to get to this though, man. We'll wrap it up right after this. The Broncos have the 18th pick. It's the only first round pick you gave them. What did the Denver Broncos end up doing with that 18th overall pick, and see how everyone feels about that? And then we'll get out of here if it's not a complete if you don't set the posse on fire. Don't set the chat on fire over here. Who do you have going number 18 to the Denver Broncos?
Yeah, so I have Bo Nix going here, number 18 to the Denver Broncos. Again, they get the quarterback that fits Sean Payton's system. I think the Zach Wilson trade doesn't completely erase them from taking a quarterback. I know Dutch is going to be mad at me. Maybe he wanted me to trade back again. I'm not sure. But I think Bo Nix, seriously, I think he's a different quarterback from Zach Wilson. I think he can do everything Sean Payton can ask of him to do underneath. He gets the ball out quickly. He talks about processing more than I think Sean Payton does at times. So that's in his mind all the time. So I just think that this is great value. You get a chance to build around Bo Nix. You still get your guy, And I mean, let's ride off. You get your rookie quarterback, Broncos country's happy, and you still trade back. People that wanted to trade back are happy as well. I think this is a happy medium with everything going on, and as far as in Broncos country around draft time.
All right, Albert, I want to let you. Actually, before you do that, John Beelan, he's been fantastic in the chat, and I haven't brought up any of his comments, but I do want to bring up this. He says the Bengals got Orlando Brown and signed Trent Brown. Fasciano plays only left tackle. He won't play over Orlando Brown. He says it's odd to see him take a left tackle, in my opinion. What do you have any answer for that, Trevor? Since this was your mock here.
I don't think Orlando Brown's anything to write home about. I mean, he's not. I mean, a franchise tackle. So I mean, yes, they did sign him, but Fashanu, he's got a ton of upside. And I think that you need to do whatever you can to possibly protect Joe Burrow. I think a tackle here would make a lot of sense for Cincinnati, and so I think they go with upside here with Fashanu, even if he's a guy that has to sit a year or whatnot. Because you need something long term at these tackle positions. But I think Shauna could play right away, and I think he is an automatic upgrade over anything Orlando Brown has brought. This year, or this past year, he just didn't have a good year. So I think Fashanu would be, I think, an upgrade and very athletic tackle. And I think this is a guy that they would fall in love with as far as a guy, a tackle to bring in to protect Joe Burrow.
All right. There you go, man. Appreciate the assessment and then the evaluation on a Bengals roster. We're usually not over there. But Albert, no to Knicks is what I was seeing from you. I'll throw this one up from Kenny. He says Brian Thomas for me, Keith, wide receiver out of LSU. I think that's who he's trying to tell me that we should be taking there at 18. Albert, not Knicks, obviously, in your opinion. Why don't you talk about that, and if you have a different direction you think you'd want to go, dropping back those 6 spots.
Yeah, I would drop back if you can a little bit more. Pick up some extra picks, and then the next pick get Tifondre Sweat, because I think that would be a good. I think I even would take Tifondre Sweat at 18, because that is a big need for the Broncos. And I could see him fit there, and I think the Broncos would not do bad because of that.
Kenny's also saying Knicks is dropping into the second round in his opinion. So we'll be talking about that in less than 48 hours, Kenny. I appreciate you talking about giving me your thoughts on Knicks as well. Carl says, what do you do with the Raiders at 13? He wants to know. Can you give me a sneak peek on what the Raiders did on that, buddy? He wants to know. I think this is the first time I've heard Carl in here, so we'll give him a little bit of love here. What do you think, buddy?
Yeah, I have the Raiders taking Cooper DeJean, cornerback out of Iowa here. I think they go cornerback here. I think Cooper DeJean is a guy that's starting to go off boards a little bit. This is a guy who's also flexible. He can also play safety as well. So kind of a hybrid guy. So I think that this would be a perfect fit for the Raiders, in my opinion. I know there's been a little bit of talk about Penix. I think this is a little too high for them. And they got Gardner Minshew in free agency, so they're not spending all that money on Minshew for a reason. So Minshew's going to be their starter. I think that they would help the defense side of the ball. Antonio Pierce is more of a defensive kind of guy, so I think Cooper DeJean to the Raiders at pick 13 is very possible.
Yeah, Cooper DeJean, one of my favorites. I'll be honest. I think that a lot of people have him rated a little bit lower than maybe going at 13, but I could see it, and I would certainly make some problems. I think for the Broncos. I think he just has a lot of flexibility. That cornerback, that safety, he can play a lot of different roles. He could be a wildcat for the Raiders in that secondary. So I don't want to end it on a Raiders, and John Beelan's. You'll have to answer him back in the chat because we went way over. Do that for me, Trevor, if you don't mind. He's still pushing back on a little bit of Orlando Brown in there, but I do want to get to Michael, who's trying to close us out already, saying, great show, Keith, Trevor, and Albert. I wrote those, I said those out of order, but it's okay. We got all the names out. Got the orange and blue hearts clapping it up. We appreciate you, Mr. Michael Ronquillo. And then Pearl saying, great show. Now let's actually see what mock draft comes closest to the real draft. And then, This is a tough business, man. We were just talking about the other day if Ryan Leaf going number 2 and almost going number 1, it was down to the last minute whether the Colts were going to select him. That's how much the pros were guessing. We're all out here guessing, so it's going to be a fun night. We're gonna enjoy it, and you know how we're really gonna enjoy it? We're gonna enjoy it with Kenny. We're gonna enjoy it with Scoops. We're gonna enjoy it with my other 2 buddies here on the screen. We're gonna have the Pick Is In draft show, guys. Again, last time I plugged this, I promise, but you're going to not want to miss this, man. I'm telling you, wall to wall coverage, 3 full days, in depth analysis, even more of what you've heard tonight. And I'm telling you guys, we've been diving deep and staying up late and making sure we're getting all the footage, watched and the notes taken so that you guys will, be set to go. Watch us right alongside the broadcast. We'll be talking about every single pick. We'll be giving giveaways galore. Albert Mile High Dutchie, just as an example, offering up a Terrell Davis signed football out of his personal collection. How about that, guys? That'll be one of the big prizes, guys. Look at that, man. Look at that right there, man. Personal collection. We're offering up some pieces, guys. Like I said, you want to like the Rocky Mountain Sports Network page. You want to like the K&K Sports Show page. That's, as a hint, how you want to get registered for those big giveaways, guys. We're going to have a heck of a fun time. 5:30 Mountain Standard Time, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, April 25th. It's right around the corner. Check out the Pick Is In draft show, guys. I'm running out of brain cells, and I still got a lot of work to do. So that being said, I'm going to let Albert maybe start rounding us up and getting us out of here. I know that you got a lot of thank yous that you do for us every single time, and we got a ton to go over. So I might be able to sit back, take a nap, and tell us about the amazing posse that joined us this evening, Albert.
Yeah, it was indeed an amazing posse. The chat was very active. We enjoyed it. I love reading it, and yeah, I have no problem putting them on the screen if I could. But yeah, I love it, and it makes it so much easier, and we get so much more out of it than you think that we do, because we really do. With some insights that you guys have that we miss. I want to thank Michael, Bernie, Scoop, Pearl, Kenny, Roy, Kurt, Graham, Little Sis, Aussie Wombat, that was a new one for me, Adam and Kayla, Jody, Victor, Bill, thank you for the stars, Michelle, Jay, Patrick, Anthony Tankersley, and John Beelan were new names for me. Thank you for coming there. And even, yeah, all the way from down under. That was amazing. Guys, keep it coming. We love you. And we will see you in less than 48 hours.
Right around the corner, man. Getting all prepared. Jody's letting me know that we need to get Trevor prepared to buy a Dak jersey. So that's right around the corner. We're getting prepared to get out of here, but not before Trevor kind of rounds us up as well and says a few goodbyes, maybe.
Yeah, see, Jody
For
thinks
the
that
evening, at least. For the evening. I made that sound like it was like he was walking out the door. For the evening. Say goodbye for the evening, sir.
yeah, Jody thinks I do not like Dak Prescott. I just don't want them to trade for Dak Prescott. Hey, next year in free agency, I am all for giving Dak Prescott a big contract. No, before I get out here, I just want to address John Beeline's comment here. Orlando Brown's contract also, he has an out in his contract in 2025. $15 million dead cap hit. Again, didn't have come off the greatest season, so that's why another reason why I have Fashanu possibly taking over for Orlando Brown. They're not tied to him long term. So that would be something that to kind of keep an eye on. No, but I just want to thank everybody in the post for joining us tonight. I love hearing your guys' comments and questions, and we all do. And just great interaction, guys. And I can't wait to see you guys on Thursday for the draft. 3 straight days of all of us, man. You guys are gonna really pretty much be living with us. So I mean, make sure to catch the draft show on Thursday. Please like, subscribe. Again, continue to support us. We're gonna be giving back to you guys with great prizes as well. Can't wait to interact with you guys on Thursday. we're here, guys. This is the NFL draft. We're right here. This is what we've been talking about for months now. All the preparation, all the time we continue to put in, all the talk. Like we can just put it to rest, and we can go forward with the draft, and we're actually going to see the results. So enough speculation. Let's see the results. Can't we see you guys on Thursday? Thank you to everybody who joined us tonight and continues to support us. And we'll see you guys on Thursday. Have a great week, guys.
Couple of closing thoughts from our Roundup royalty, or at least one of them. Michael Ronquillo says no more quarterbacks in the first round for him. He's just out on that. And he says we need a second round pick and not a quarterback in the first round as far as he's concerned. Appreciate that Michael's joined us, just like we appreciate everybody. Albert ran off a long list of names, but what it really comes down to is we have a great group, our posse as we call them, but really fantastic supporters, guys. You guys have been, it's kind of funny as I was messing with our logo and putting it on different things. Denver Bronco Roundup since 2020, guys. We're going on year 4 here, and what an amazing run it's been. We appreciate you guys being a part of this, being a part of everything that we've done, all the growth that we've had. You guys come in here, you like, support, share, subscribe, and we try to give back. We're going to be giving back with a fantastic draft show. The Pick Is In draft show. We're going to be giving away gifts and prizes, as Trevor alluded to. We prepare for shows like this all year long, and sometimes even longer if you've been watching some of these prospects grow up and become college athletes and potential NFL athletes. I'm telling you guys, it's going to be a wonderful show. Can't wait to have all the personalities on the screen. Can't wait for all the personalities in the chat, in the posse, coming along with us for the ride. Broncos are all set, man. We got new jerseys. We've got new owners. We're getting new facilities. And now we're going to have who knows how many new players be added to this Denver Bronco roster. We're going to have analysis on every single one, as well as all the picks that go out the door, because we've been doing all our homework. Can't wait to see you guys there. You guys have been amazing this evening. Appreciate all the support, all the likes, shares, and subscribes, all the comments this evening. Big show that you guys came in as we get all prepared for the draft, and you guys are amazing. So with that, we got to get out of here, guys. We got to get more preparation done. We got to get ready for Thursday. It's like, what, I don't know, 36 hours away? It seems like the hours keep ticking away, guys. So Albert's in with the Mile High Salute, but I got to get my closing, and hopefully I don't get my foot in my mouth and my gun in my shoe or nothing like that, because what it is, we got to keep our boots in our stirrups, we got to keep our guns in our holsters, and we got to keep our Broncos in our hearts. But until next time, guys, we'll be right back at you. Thank you so much. Good night.